The Odyssey, Books 19 and 20. How Odysseus' nurse knew her master, and the gods send signs of the wrath to come. Book 19. Odysseus and Telemachus hide the old armor of Odysseus in a secret closet. Athena lights their way through the dark halls. Odysseus sends Telemachus to bed, for he wishes to go into the main hall and mess with Penelope and the maids. One of the women, Melantho, rudely remarks to Odysseus the beggar that his presence is unwelcome in the house of the queen, since he has already received his free meal. Odysseus, still a beggar, scolds the woman by saying, "I had once a house of my very own in the world, and often gave to a homeless man. Maybe your mistress will take offense and vent her anger upon you, or maybe Odysseus may come home." Penelope hears what the beggar says and does in fact criticize her maid for her inconsideration. Penelope wishes to question the stranger over news he might have regarding her long-lost husband. She asks her maid, Eurynomé, to fetch their visitor a chair and to wash his feet while he is sitting, talking to Penelope. Penelope asks the beggar to tell who he is and where he is from. Odysseus says that he is too heartbroken to speak of his own fame, but that the name of Penelope is one of the most esteemed in all the land. Penelope seems to be embarrassed by the stranger's compliments and remarks, "All my comeliness and my good looks are gone. The immortals took them from me when the army embarked for the war, and my husband with them. If that man would return and care for me, my name and fame would be better for it." Penelope laments her situation of being forced into marriage. She again asks Odysseus his homeland. He says he is from Crete, and that is where he saw Odysseus. The beggar says that he saw Odysseus on his way to Troy. He stayed with him for 12 days, where he was fed and gifted heartily. Penelope decides to test the stranger by asking what Odysseus was wearing and looked like when he made his stop in Crete. The beggar, who is Odysseus, says to Penelope, regarding Odysseus, "I have heard that Odysseus is already near home, alive, with a heap of treasure, which he has collected on his travels, but he has lost his ship and all the crew on his voyage. Zeus and Helios were angry because his men killed the cattle of the sun. The Phaeacians were eager to bring him home. Odysseus is a man full of schemes. There was never his match." This is yet again another example of Odysseus puffing himself up in order to make his name greater than it might deserve to be. The beggar Odysseus promises Penelope that Odysseus will be coming home soon. Penelope is pleased with her guest, and she instructs her servants to not only wash him but to give him fresh clothes so that she might prove a fine host. Euryclea is summoned to wash the feet of the guest. Penelope questions if Odysseus' feet and hands might look like the stranger's, which causes Euryclea to cry upon thinking of her master. Euryclea says to the stranger, "But I do declare, I never set eyes on one so like my master, as that beast looks in voice and feet and all." As Euryclea was washing the feet of Odysseus, she notices a scar on his leg that he had received while hunting with his grandfather as a young child. As soon as she saw the scar, she knew her master had returned. Euryclea turns toward Penelope to tell her that her husband has returned, but Athena has made Penelope oblivious so as not to ruin the plans of Odysseus. Odysseus instructs Euryclea to have a steady tongue and not reveal him to any of the members of the house because he is watching everyone. Penelope reveals to her guest, Odysseus, that she has been quite plagued over what to do, marry or stay waiting. She says that when Telemachus was young, she knew it was her duty to maintain the house, but now that he is a man, she is unsure what choice to make. After Penelope's confession, she asks the guest to reveal to her what a dream she has been having might mean. She says in her dream 20 geese around the palace come out to the water to be fed, and this makes her happy. Then an eagle sweeps down out of the mountains and breaks all the geese's necks, killing them. Once the eagle has killed the geese, it sits on a roof beam and speaks to her in a human voice, saying, "Take courage, this is no dream, but a waking vision of good, which will surely be fulfilled." Odysseus responds to her dream by saying, "My lady, death is there for your wooers plain to see. They shall all die, and not one shall escape." Penelope responds by saying that she plans to have a contest for the men. Whomever can bend and string the bow of Odysseus will be her husband. The stranger encourages her to lay out this test as soon as possible. In your composition notebooks, take the following notes for Book 19. Number 1. Odysseus and Telemachus hide all of the old armor in a secret closet. Number 2. Penelope questions the beggar in her chambers while servants wash his feet. This is an ancient ritual for weary, dusty travelers to have their feet washed. Number 3. Penelope is embarrassed at the beggar's compliments and says she lost her looks when her husband left 20 years ago. Number 4. Penelope and the beggar exchange stories. She tells him of her problem with the suitors and pending marriage. He tells her he saw her husband not far from home, headed to Ithaca with treasure. Number 5. Odysseus's old nurse recognizes his scar from childhood. A wild boar gored his inner thigh with its tusk. Odysseus tells her not to reveal him. Number 6. Penelope is made oblivious or blind in death by Athena during the exchange of the old nurse and Odysseus. And now Penelope tells Odysseus of her dream and her plan for the bow contest. Book 20. Odysseus is unable to sleep because he is tormented about how he might get rid of all the suitors, and Athena appears to him as a beautiful woman, encourages him by saying she always has and always will help him. Penelope awakens crying out to the gods to take her away from her sorrows like they have with women before, and she prays to have the arrow of Artemis strike her down. Penelope prays, "Let me once more see my husband before my eyes, and then be laid in the earth with my sorrow. But let me not gladden the heart of a lesser man. Sleep brings forth forgetfulness of all things, both good and evil, but I am haunted by cruel dreams." In the morning Odysseus awakes to the sound of Penelope's soft sobs and goes into the garden to pray to Zeus. He asks Zeus for a sign that will allow him to know he is doing the right thing. Zeus heard his prayer and sent down a clap of thunder from Mount Olympus. A mill worker heard the clap of thunder out of the clear sky and proclaimed, "Truly, this is a sign from heaven from someone." Odysseus was glad to hear this omen, and he felt sure that he should in fact kill off the suitors who were in his home. Telemachus awoke shortly after and asked Eurycula how the stranger had spent his night. She said that he was very humble, refused many of the commodities they offered, but spoke honestly with Penelope. As the servants begin cleaning the house and preparing it for the men to come, Odysseus is greeted by the swineherd, who has brought 3 fat pigs for the day's meals. Odysseus remarks to the swineherd, "May God punish them for their outrageous doings in another man's house. They have not a scrap of shame in them." One of the suitors, Melanthios, asked Odysseus if he was planning on making a nuisance every day, or if he would be leaving. Odysseus ignores his remarks because he knows what wrath is to come for the men. In contrast, another man, Philetus, had just come into Ithaca to deliver cows for the meal, and upon seeing the strange beggar, Odysseus, he offered him his hand. Philetus says he has sympathy for the weary because he thinks of his master. I doubt not he's dressed in rage like thine and wandering through the world if he is still alive and sees the light of the sun. Philetus also remarks about the suitor's lack of obedience to the gods. Odysseus is impressed with the integrity of Philetus and says, I take my solemn oath upon it. Zeus be my witness. You will be here when Odysseus will return, and you will see with your own eyes the death of those wastrels who lord it in this place. The pretenders begin discussing their foiled plan to kill Telemachus. As they were discussing their plot, they spotted a bird on the left, an eagle flying high, with a trembling dove in his claws. The men go into the main hall to eat their meal. Telemachus picks out a special spot for the beggar Odysseus, mainly to get on the nerves of the men. Telemachus also reminds them that he is in charge of the house, and he commands them. Telemachus made sure that the beggar received his share of the feast, but Athena wished to tempt Odysseus by provoking him. One of the suitors, Sistippus, remarks that the beggar does not deserve any more food from the palace, and he throws a basket at the beggar. The beggar Odysseus ducks, and the basket hits the wall. Telemachus tells the men that he is tired of the violence in his home, and since he is old enough to notice all that goes on, he is also going to try and put a stop to it. He says to the men, if you really mean to kill me outright, I should prefer that. It would be much better to die than to look on every day at the violence, strangers knocked about and women dragged all over the place in this indecent way. The suitors promise to leave the beggar alone, but one man, Agelaus Demostrides, addresses Telemachus about his mother. Agelaus Demostrides makes it clear he does not believe Odysseus will return, so he encourages Telemachus to confront his mother so that she might choose a new husband, and then all the men can be on their way. Telemachus replies that he has tried to encourage his mother to choose a husband, but that he will not turn her out of their home for her lack of choice. And after Telemachus made his remarks to the men, they began to laugh, for their minds had been altered by Athena. The men are very disoriented and find themselves to be far more humorous than they really are, which makes the seer Theoclemenus very angry. The men again criticize the hospitality of Telemachus to the beggar, but he just ignores them. During this time, Penelope stands outside the door and listens to the men laughing and teasing in the hall. In your composition notebooks, here are the notes for Book 19. Main idea number 1. Penelope sobs in her sleep over the decision she must make, and Odysseus hears her. He leaves to the garden and prays to Zeus, who sends a thunderclap omen. Number 2. The swineherd comes to town with 3 pigs for the day's meal, and Odysseus meets a new man, Philetus, and tells him he will witness Odysseus' return in vengeance. The 3 men will work together to overthrow the suitors. Number 3. The pretenders, or the suitors, discuss their failed plan to kill Telemachus, and an omen appears, an eagle with an unhurt dove in its claws. Number 4. Telemachus challenges the men to kill him outright, as it would be better than watching the violence in his home. Number 5. One man tries to convince Telemachus to talk to his mother and encourage her to marry. Telemachus says he knows the customs and laws of his country, but he will not turn out his mother as queen of Ithaca. Number 6. Athena makes the men crazy, and they laugh uncontrollably, as Penelope stands by and watches all.